Yeah, let's go up north now because the municipal chief executive for Mamprusi West, or the West Mamprusi district, has presented over 600 pieces of dual decks he distributed to 11 basic schools in the area. This, according to the MCE, Arimayao Somo Lucky, is in fulfillment of government's 1 million per constituency promise. Arimayao said the decks are to help reduce congestion and promote social distancing in classrooms and school resume amid the coronavirus pandemic. Here's a report by correspondent Ilyasu Tanko.
The West Mamprusi Municipal Chief Executive said the donation was in fulfillment of government's 1 million per constituency promise. The MCE also tasked the education authorities to ensure the furniture is put to good use. He believes government has fulfilled most of its promises, contrary to claims by the NDC.
The West Mamprusi Municipal Assembly has our aim to make sure all children in schools get furniture to sit comfortably to learn. It's on course. Today I am presenting 600 double furniture to the Ghana Education Service to complement what they already have in their various schools, to make sure that our children get furniture to sit and learn. This furniture is part of the 1 million constituency project that is ongoing in the West Mamprusi Municipal Assembly. Already, we are building about 3 6-unit classroom blocks for Hairia, Wungu, and Bwakudu. They will be built and finished under the 1 million per constituency project. We are also building a chief's compound at Mimima, another one at Fungufiu to complement the health sector initiatives. They are all under the 1 million project. People are asking, where is the projects? Where are the projects? This is one of the gestures. This is very clear. When the president promises, he delivers. And this is one of the indications that the president once again has delivered. West Mamprusi Municipal Assembly is benefiting from the 1 million constituency project. More are coming. There will also be an office furniture, where very soon I'll be distributing furniture to the various decentralized departments to complement what already they have in their offices to work with. So there are more to come. So I want to urge the Municipal Director of Education and his team to make good use of this furniture. I'll periodically come to visit and monitor to see whether they have been put into proper use. I wouldn't take it easy or light if I come to see that the furniture being sent to schools are not properly used. So I wish that you use it well and use it for the benefit of the children. You know, education is the key, and we must make sure that we get our children educated.
The West Mamprusi Municipal Director of the Ghana Education Service, Momuni Francis, who received the decks on behalf of the schools, thanked government for the gesture.
MCE, I'm very, very grateful to receive this furniture on behalf of my directorate to be distributed to 11 good schools in the municipality. Very grateful that we are also enjoying something from the 1 million series from the government. The government has not left us out. So it is to the furniture today they are handing over to my directorate. Very grateful to the government and to the assembly in particular. They have remembered that they have education, and education is the key to every success in Ghana. Thank you very much.
The MC of West Mamprusi, Arimayao Somo Lucky, joins us live on the phone with some more on this. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on News Desk. Now, how much is the cost of the 600 decks that you have presented to the schools?
I think let me use this opportunity to thank JoyNews for covering this all-important event. It is the duty of the Municipal Assembly and the government at large to make sure they provide infrastructure, at the same time furniture, to our children in school. Indeed, this was a second phase of our furniture presenting in this year. The first phase was about 700 dual decks, which was comprised of 500 from the district assembly and 200 from the MP. And this is the second batch, and then more will be following in the next month. We are trying to make sure that all our children in school going age in Wale or those who are in school within the West Mamprusi Municipal Assembly should not lack furniture in their various schools. This was one of the projects, and then it was delivered from the 1 million per constituency project.
Okay, but you mentioned that this is the second phase of a project that you are carrying out, and yes. So does it mean that the first part was also from the $1 million $1 constituency
was from the district development facility,
okay,
the DDF, and then we were complemented by the MP's project, which was also part of that. So
this one cost us how much?
The last one or the first one?
So let's start with this one. 600 decks. How much did they cost us?
600 decks. One deck costs around 220 Ghana cedi. So I think the mathematics will have to be done by this, but it is not over 150,000.
Not over 150,000.
Yes, please.
And how much of the 1 million constituency fund supported the first phase of the project as well?
Yes, indeed. If you look at the 1 million per constituency project, we have a lot of projects, and the furniture was part of the project. We have about 6 unique classroom blocks being at Walewale Hairea, Wungu LA, and then Boakudo, which is costing us around 600,000 each, 600,000 Ghana cedi each. Because one is around 599, so it's almost 600,000. We also have 2 CHIPS compounds also coming from that same fund. One at Mimima, which is also with nurses' quarters attached, fully furnished, which is also costing us around 580,000 each. One at Mimima and one at Fungu. We also have the district warehouse and other infrastructure that are coming along. We also have an extension of electricity where poles are going to provide us from that same fund. Indeed, all those projects are coming from the 1 million per constituency fund, and they are all ongoing. Others are even, in the stage of completion.
And we know that this fund is supposed to be used based on an IPEP assessment, of the constituency needs. Yes. You're telling me that these decks that you have presented today are part of the needs of the constituency.
Exactly, my brother, exactly. The cry from the Ghana Education Service, from West Mamprusi, is no more basically on infrastructure because the government has delivered well. Most of it now is about furniture and other logistics to the various places, various schools. And then the furniture come at the right time. You could see the education director was so much delighted that we have come to their aid, because this is the time that they needed it. And now that we have COVID-19 cases, we want to make sure that this distancing project, we have more furniture so that we can make sure that...
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Well, I think we lost the MC there. That's Arimeyal Somo Lucky joining us with some updates on the 1 million per constituency fund. Would have loved to find out how much more has been expended and what is left for the constituency, and indeed how much have they received from government as far as this is concerned. We'll work the lines. Once you're able to get him back, we'll have that conversation. But still on education, the challenges of COVID-19 pandemic on education has been of great concern to many, with governments deploying multiple virtual platforms to fill the gap. Now, these include radio, TV, and other online platforms, but these are accessible to pupils who can see, hear, and probably have no disability. Now, this morning, we explore the impact of COVID-19 on marginalized children, especially children with disability. Join us for this conversation is Andrew Denchi, Education and Technical Program Manager for World Vision Ghana, an international NGO that has focused on children. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on News Desk. First of all, tell us about your observation generally on the impact of the closure of schools on marginalized children, especially children with disability.
Okay, thank you very much. Ghana has the school closure following the COVID-19 has led to over 9 million children who are currently out of school and their homes. Now, out of this number, about 70% of these are children found in the fringes of our country, that is the rural communities. And these people are already marginalized in terms of learning, and therefore the school closures has really affected them, including children with disability.
Now, your statistics reveal that we have about 9 million children at home now. In terms of children with disability, can you break it down for us to see the figures and how they are affected by this?
We don't really have the figures of children with disability in the country, definite one. At least I've no chance on one. But there are pockets of children who are struggling with learning in our communities, but who this pandemic has really affected.
And indeed, we just had a story where decks are being presented to some schools ahead of reopening so that they can observe social distancing. Regular school children have had the opportunity to be educated on radio, on TV, and online platforms. As far as children with disability are concerned, those who have either hearing impairment or, for instance, cannot see, what are the challenges? Do you know of any platforms made available to help fill the gap in that regard?
Indeed, after the pandemic, government had been very responsive in terms of supporting children with learning. But the point is that this learning is not reaching the very people who need them, especially the marginalized children. For example, in the community, the rural communities, they lack television sets or radio sets where they can access these online services. Internet connectivity is not really strong in some of these communities. Even if they are, children do not have tablets to access or computers to access these ones. For children with disability, their situation is even compounded because some of these learning portals have to be broken down into providing assistive devices for children. They would need sign language interpretation and others which are not really forthcoming. So it makes it difficult for these rural children to access the learning even when they are available.
And how do we help such children? What is happening elsewhere that we can learn from?
Indeed, there are several technology that had come around this time which really support children with disability, and Ghana can adapt them. For example, if you go to Storyweaver, if you need stories for children, Storyweaver, African Story Project have subtitles which help such that it can help with children with eye issues. There are also sign languages for other portals which we can adapt. But you see, the time is so short for us to do thorough assessment of these and adapt them for children. And so, but there are really several options for children with disability to learn from. But I believe that the first point of call would have been community engagement, engaging the communities for them to have identified, especially not all communities have these issues, but there are some communities who have them. And if community engagement had been done properly, these children could be identified and isolated and treated differently in terms of the learning that is coming to them through the technological mediums.
And talking about the community, how are parents crucial in this? How can they help the situation?
Parents are the first teachers of children, and between 0 to 9, 1 to 9, children learn from their parents. And so the parents and the community come into play when children are at home. For most parents, this is the time they need to catch up with their children. Because of work schedules and then modern pressures, parents have neglected their duties of talking to children, engaging their children and supporting their learning. I believe that this is a great opportunity for us to reset and rewind our structures in the communities and begin to engage our children in learning.
And these children have been home for a very long time. Seeing their disability and how vulnerable they are, what are some of the dangers they are exposed to that, you know, they must be protected against, and systems must be put in place to ensure that they are not even more vulnerable?
It shouldn't surprise you to note that when school reopens finally someday, sometime, most of these children will not return to school. Especially the problem of the girl child is even very daunting. Most of them might have themselves gotten pregnant out of sexual attacks or kind of thing. Some of these children would also be taken away into places to do labor and they might get themselves into trouble. Some of these children may engage in very dangerous play within the communities, which they will get hurt. And this will affect their ability to come to school. So there's a multiple issues that can affect these children. And because they are exposed, parents leave their children in the house throughout the day, and the children are left on their own. And they scavenge and walk around the community, engaging in many things that are hazardous or dangerous to their physical and health. So it really poses a great danger to children across our communities.
We'll wrap it up by talking about how what can be done to help the situation going forward. But let's not forget about the teachers. How are they affected in all of this, and what support systems could be made available to them?
Both teachers and children are really affected, especially their stress levels. For some teachers, the joy of seeing their children in a classroom is really exciting for them and really heals their hearts. But teachers have been home for the past 3 to 4 months and possibly 2 extra or 4 extra months. And it has had a psychological effect on them. We expect the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education to provide teachers with some psychosocial support to manage their stress. For children who are disabled, their stress levels are very high because if imagine you are disabled and you hear there's COVID and you keep asking yourself, what would I do? How do I survive if there's a hike or a spike in my community? So, or how do I even hear the information that is being shared in my community if I cannot hear or talk? Nobody is explaining that to me. So it heightens their stress level and it affects them severally. And I believe that this is the time we need to develop messages to support teachers, to have them appreciate the fact that there's nothing to fear about this pandemic. We only need to be careful and make sure that we are understanding the protocols and observing those protocols. For children with disability, we need to break down the information to them in a language that they understand so that they appreciate the enormity of the situation and how they can also protect themselves from this pandemic.
Thank you very much. And that's the manager in charge of education and technical at World Vision Ghana, Andrew Denchi, joining us with that conversation on COVID-19 and education with focus on children with disability. Later, we'll be getting to the Ghana Education Service to find out what systems they are put in place for such children during the pandemic. We stay on COVID-19, but on health, because the Ghana Health Service has altered its testing strategies in line with the spate of COVID-19 cases being recorded among the population. It also means that with more samples left to be tested, it has become important to prioritize persons that exhibit symptoms and traits of infections in the testing process. And Dr. Michael Owusu of the KCCR in Kumasi is optimistic this new strategy is the best way to deal with the current trend of infections. He was interacting with Mama Vioso Abwaji on the AM show.
Stage we are gradually going through the acceleration phase. I mean, for us in KCCR, if I give you the picture, I mean, earlier somewhere in March, you could have about 2 out of 100 samples testing positive. Then in April, you have about 5 to 10 out of about 100. And somewhere in May, we went up to about 20 out of 100. As I speak to you now, close to 70 out of every 100 samples are positive, for those that come to us. So the question now is that if you have sick people who go to the health facilities and need emergency tests for doctors to manage them, and you have voluntary people who are not sick, workers who want to just go and get themselves tested, which one will be your priority? If you channel your resources to voluntary testing and mass testing of people who are not sick and are healthy, and then you run out of resources, and people who are critically ill are admitted to the facilities, they are going to lose their lives.
Just because of time, apologies. Would you say contact tracing is still useful at this point, since we're recording that many cases?
Contact tracing, I think, is a challenge because especially in Kumasi and Accra, which are considered the high endemic regions, because now for every 100 people you take, bet you about 30 to 40 of them will have the virus. So they will have the virus not because they have been infected by the first positive case, but they have the virus because of interactions that they might have got from elsewhere. So if you are in the high peak point, the African CDC, their criteria said that if you are in the fourth phase of this epidemic, you even have to halt contact tracing because everybody you see and test will become positive. So your best bet is to channel resources to the health sector, manage those who are sick, attend to those who need critical illness, test your health for healthcare workers.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. President Akufo-Addo has opened the door for more dialogue with automobile dealers as he raised concern about the Customs Amendment Bill, which bans importation of overaged and salvaged vehicles. The automobile dealers are also concerned about the entry of global giants into the local manufacturing space, which they say will push them out of business. But in an engagement with the automobile dealers, the president insisted the new law will protect dealers whilst ensuring a vibrant local automobile industry. First, though, let's hear from the auto dealers.
We got copy of the law by our own efforts, and to our utter surprise, none of our legitimate concerns was adopted nor addressed in the policy document. We, our members, and affiliates nationwide consider the approach adopted by the sector minister as a stab in the back and feel seriously dribbled and really frustrated as a stakeholder. Input request for the past Customs Amendment Bill 2020 by Vehicle and Asset Dealers Union of Ghana and its affiliates. The Vehicle and Asset Dealers Union of Ghana is totally for and not against the entry of assemblers or manufacturers into the Ghanaian automotive industry. We also cannot object the ban on right-hand drive motor vehicles except by the approval of the minister, according to the amended section of the Customs Bill 2020 Act 891. All the union humbly asks for from Your Excellency is a healthy and competitive automotive market where all stakeholders are protected under the Ghana Automotive Manufacturing Development Policy.
But in that engagement with the automobile dealers, the president insisted the new law will protect the dealers whilst ensuring a vibrant local automobile industry.
I'm somewhat disturbed by the idea that it is only foreign imports that can guarantee us low price cars for those in the lower income brackets. All over the world, domestic automobile industries are capable of providing cars for low income people. And we should be working towards that in Ghana, whereby people at the lower end of the income stream can also have access to cars, and not necessarily to second-hand cars. Why not to brand new cars? That's the basis on which Volkswagen was created in Germany 60, 70 years ago. What does Volkswagen mean? It means the car for the people. And it was created to enable people at the bottom end of the wage scale in Germany at the time to be able to have access to cars just like people at the top end could have access to Daimler, to Benz, to BMW, etc. So it is possible in a well-orchestrated, well-constructed automobile industry in a given country, that all the various ranges of incomes can find a way of satisfying themselves and their needs for a car, and not necessarily through foreign imports. I think that is what we all have to sit down and work towards. And in so doing, the point that you have made, that we have to find a way of protecting all of those in the value chain, that objective can be also achieved.
Now, the Ghana Union of Traders Association says it would push government to strictly enforce the laws that bar foreigners from trading in retail markets. It's emerged the foreigners who had their shops closed have reopened without approval. Dr. Joseph Obeng is president of the union.
We're talking over 600 shops that have been opened, between 600 and 700 illegally, and this was not opened by the Committee on Foreign Trade. That's the misinformation that is going out there, that the shops have been open for us, and then they go on to the extent of teasing the locals and laughing at them, which is very bad. I called the NUTAC president and complained that why is it that your people are going around teasing the locals? Do you know the implications? Do you know the provocation that you are bringing to bear? And so this is what is going on. These people are flouting the laws and laughing at the locals at the same time. This never happened in any jurisdiction.
And that's all in business for now. The news continues after this break.
Thanks for staying with us here on News Desk. I have more stories for you. Snakebites are a major health concern in many parts of the country. One of the communities battling this problem is Fasin, a town in the Ahanta West municipality of the Western region. But victims often do not get treatment because of lack of anti-snake venom. My colleague Henry Kwesibedi was there, and here's his report read to you.
Very painful. You can never sleep he said you can never sleep the whole night.
That's 35-year-old Emmanuel Kujo, a snakebite survivor, recalling how he endured sleepless nights after he was attacked by a snake in his house a little over a week ago. He's now doing well, but says it's not been an easy road to recovery.
First, I met two.
Emmanuel was first given aid at the CHIPS compound in his community. But even before he went to the health facility, like many others who suffered his fate, he resorted to some herbs to ease his pain.
When the snake bit me, I went in for onion and chew. And look, I went in for this thing, cocoyam. Do you know cocoyam? Cocoyam leaf. Cocoyam leaf, not the leaf, the down one. We are just clean it from my hair. So that gave me a lot.
Even though antivenoms are covered by Ghana's NHIS, they are not available in many CHIPS compounds and other health facilities across the country, like that of Fasin. Health officials here have resorted to some unconventional methods as a result of the rising cases. A traditional antidote known as Blackstone is what is deployed here. Rita Abanga is a physician assistant at the facility.
Here, we don't have the anti-snake serum. So what we do is that we use the Blackstone.
But do the Blackstones suppress the venom? Rita tells us more.
With the Blackstone, if there is already blood coming from the site or the cut on the site is obvious, you just place the Blackstone on it. If it is a snake, it will stick to the site, and after some time it will fall off. After it has absorbed the poison, as it is believed, it will fall off. Other than that, if you are not seeing any cut at the area or any snake flang at the area, what you do is you create a small cut with a surgical blade, and then you place, so the blood can ooze a bit, so that you place the Blackstone on it.
Victims are, however, referred to hospitals miles away from where they live for effective treatment.
you do the person, you give the person first aid, and then you refer the patient. You are not in a hurry to let the patient go home because you don't know what can happen. Envenomation, some snakes take time for envenomation to set in. Other snakes too, you get them the moment the patient reports to you. So if you can't keep the patient for long in your facility because